Welcome to the Cybersecurity Competition Federation show. I'm Dan Manson. I teach computer information systems at Cal Poly Pomona and serve as principal investigator for a National Science Foundation grant to help form an umbrella organization over cybersecurity competitions. The Cybersecurity Competition Federation can support the development of skill at a large scale by bringing cybersecurity competitions under an umbrella organization, which will help players of all ages and skill levels identify a point of entry into a continuum of cybersecurity competition experiences. With a focus on communication and promotion, the CCF maintains the autonomy of competition creators, supports their business models, and does not interfere with their sponsorship or funding sources. This week, we continue our multi-part series of CyberFed cybersecurity competition coverage from Black Hat and DEF CON. In this segment, we talk with a company that is using a Capture the Flag competition to promote continuous improvement in hands-on cybersecurity skills, and an organizer of con events that feature cybersecurity competitions that are moving toward gamification.
How long have you been running Capture the Flag competitions, and what got you started?
Good question. We've been doing this for about 3 years now. We developed it as an internal staff training program for our own staff to bring them up. What it is it's a safe environment to learn offensive skills, so in a safe environment. So what we do is we put forth a bunch of challenges to them that they can use Nmap, Metasploit, Nessus scans, enumerate networks, get on domain controllers, things like that in a safe environment where we can test their abilities to think like a hacker. We always feel like if you think like a hacker, you're going to be better at defending against them. So what we're trying to do is educate them on what the real threat is there on their networks.
Now, can you talk a little bit about the con that you run?
Sure. So I run CircleCityCon in Indianapolis. This year, or next year, it'll be June 10th through 12th, 2016. Essentially, we do competition there, which is a traditional Hacker Jeopardy-style CTF. This year, we're actually expanding our competition to gamify the entire conference. So in addition to having the regular CTF, we're actually building game elements around going to talks, around talking to vendors, around going to trainings, and around other various competitions there. The whole goal is to basically try to gamify the competition, make it almost like a live-action role-play game to give the participants the ability to learn, but also have fun while they're doing it. And we're very big proponents of learning. We run about 20 different training classes as part of the ticket cost.
Now, esports has become huge. It's a worldwide sport. I've read that 70 million people watch esports. Is it possible for cybersecurity competitions to go down that road?
I think so. I think it would be, in fact, I think it's probably closer than we think to happening. A lot of interest in there, and as the younger generation comes up that's used to watching video games on YouTube, used to watching esports, they're going to look for the same thing in their interest areas. And so tailoring to that younger generation and helping bring them up through the ranks and growing them into the next generation of security professionals, having stuff like this where they can watch the competition and say, oh, hey, that's how they did this hack, or that's how they did this, did this thing, or even from a standpoint of, hey, that's how he just social engineered and got the flag from someone else. Showing those skill sets and letting them learn from that and giving them ideas to help branch out and grow their own skills will be critical.
Are we going to get to the point where we can have measurable statistics in these competitions, so just like someone who plays a sport can show off how good they are by their performance measurements, we can actually, over time, develop real performance measurements for these competitions?
Absolutely. The back-end analytics of what we're able to do in evaluating how students are going about solving challenges, a certain percentage may choose to go down one path while another certain percentage might go down another path. The time that they dwell on those questions may give you a certain understanding about the gaps in knowledge, or maybe what we need to focus on from a training perspective to help improve those areas. So there really is a lot of back-end analytics that we can perform that will help overall training efforts for the future. And I really think that's like the next wave of where CTFs can really evolve to.
We continue this week with Inside the Game. Jason, welcome back.
Thanks, Dan. Hey, everybody.
We just saw a really cool segment that showed how a major company is using a capture the flag to identify talent and develop talent internally. And we saw how the growth of cons is spurring innovation in cybersecurity competitions. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's two main things that I've pulled away from this. The DEF CON experience in particular, and looking at, not only how industry is definitely getting involved, and they're getting involved not only in sponsoring and help promote and put on competitions, but especially in the federal sector, you see companies like Booz, MITRE, Raytheon putting on competitions of their own. And it's clearly because they've learned that the traditional HR model of recruiting doesn't work for this field.
Yeah, I think what these companies are realizing, especially for the hands-on cybersecurity positions such as this incident response, there are other measurements that are needed. It's not enough to look at what someone has on their resume and look at the courses they've taken, a degree, and even a certificate. They need to know more, and what they're finding out is in these competitions they can find out more. So in Kaizen, they have the ability to not only see who had the top score, but why they had the top score. In the MITRE CTF, when you register for the MITRE CTF, you send in both your resume and then you register for the competition. So when they see how you perform, they can compare your actual performance in the competition and your background and use that to decide whether to take you to the next step.
Right, you know, and then the other thing I've noticed, and it occurred to me when we were talking off camera, was we've talked before about one of the things that is kind of a pet peeve is the lack of continuity between competitions, and competitions kind of being built in silos and not really working together, and they're their own thing and everybody has their own flavor. But it occurred to me recently that that's actually good. I think what we're seeing now is kind of a genetic growth, a genetic variation, and I think our idea, at the risk of sounding elitist, might be a couple steps down the road too far right now, and the field is catching up to what actually is fun, what actually allows you to recruit people, and I think that's why we're seeing all this siloed growth.
Yeah, I think one of the real problems today in traditional computer science is that those who look at the field, the way the field has been, it looks boring. It doesn't look exciting, and we both know how exciting cybersecurity is. And I think these competitions, once they begin really merging with what we do in our programs, we're going to be able to show a much broader audience how exciting this is, the opportunities of going into this field, and what you can really do as a cybersecurity professional.
Yeah, you know, I was talking to somebody on the phone yesterday, and we were talking about the analogies between esports and cyber competitions in traditional sports like Little League, football, American football, et cetera. And I've kind of found this renewed vigor for, you know, I really want to see where this goes, and I'm excited about all this spontaneous growth we're seeing, all these new companies getting involved, all these new organizations, all these cons, really trying to grow this community and find out what is the best format.
Yeah, I think there's so many opportunities now to start your own competition, to innovate with your own competition, to use the cons as a springboard for experimentation, and for companies to jump into this, supporting the cons that work and developing their own type of competitions and seeing how they can create the metrics or partner with others to have the metrics that really tell them the type of people that they need to hire.
Yeah, you know, I've said before, Dan, that I think utopia is reached on the bones of heroes, and I think that's kind of what we're witnessing right now is the death of the traditional cybersecurity competition and being very static and monolithic, and you're seeing this really fast growth and iteration on even the same formats. I think even for us, CCDC's very quickly evolving into being something different than what it originally was.
Right, I really think over the next few years we're going to see new games, we're going to see a lot more innovation, and we're going to start seeing what we've talked about is having the progression, having the metrics, having the way of showing how good someone is.
Yeah, you know, and in fact I hit Twitter the end of last week, this weekend, and I'm trying to engage people to figure out, because of course we've talked about it, the one big thing we need is the stats. And I think once we get that piece done, and we can start seeing how it fits into these different competition formats, CTF, break fix, you know, attack defend, all the different types, we'll really get some nice optimal growth.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Dan. See you, everybody.
So Jason, I know you and Uncle Jimmy had a good time at DEF CON. Sounds like that Dota competition is kind of an inkling of where we can go in the future.
Yeah.
What do we have for challenges this week?
Yeah, you know, I spent a lot of good time with Jimmy. I've been on the phone with him even more than I was before. So for this week, I think this is like his 8th one in a row. This guy's been pretty busy. He has a cool little file carving challenge. He really steps outside of himself. You know, he started, if we remember right, with just building small programmatic challenges, buffer overflows, simple crypto stuff, and he's really escalating. This is a medium challenge, by the way. If you want to check it out, you can go to his website, unclejimmy'schallenges.com. When you think you've solved it and you have the key, you can email him what you think the key is at jimmy@unclejimmy'schallenges.com.
So what are a few of the interesting responses that you're getting now for the challenges?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if like there was a last minute vacation or something, but Jens the Legs didn't try to solve last week's, which was, Jimmy told me he only got a couple of challenges. That was the legendary one, if you remember. It's legendary. But there's somebody new that popped up that not only did last week's legendary, they're the one person that solved it according to Jimmy, but like they instantly did all the prior ones too. And it's Marty McFly. I don't think it's really the Marty McFly. Jimmy was kind of confused because he's a big fan of Back to the Future.
Maybe he had some help from Doc.
It could have been, yeah. And that's what Jimmy was asking me. I told him, man, listen, don't worry about that. Just grade the challenge, send the person their ticket for the prize, and let's move on. But Jimmy's really looking forward to the further challenges, and he's really started to escalate what he's doing. He has all these systems now. He's starting to get help from his local community college.
Well, we're going to have to start showing some of these responses and showing more on the website as well in the future.
Yeah, you know, I talked to Jimmy about that, of when he replies to these people that submit, like Marty McFly, especially, Jens the Legs has done a lot of work to ask them, hey, do you mind if we show your emails? And I think Jimmy's going to move forward with that.
Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Dan.
Next week, we will continue our on-site coverage from Black Hat and DEF CON from Las Vegas, Nevada. If you have a competition you would like us to cover in a future show, please contact us at cyberfed.org. I'm Dan Manson. See you next week.